Oh, hi everybody. I'm back. If you could see me. Um, I don't whoops. I'm on my iPad. Excuse me. I'm on my laptop and and I'm not having a senior moment, I promise you. Um, I'm not even that old yet. Or I guess I am, but age is just a number, right? Okay, so anyway, it's the screen, of course, is not quite as sharp as if I was on my iPad or iPhone, but I haven't figured out how to go live on those yet, but I will. So, and that gets a little trickier because then you're dealing with cell service versus your internet. And then when I got behind on my bills one time, I had to go over to Starbucks and do some things, to go. But anyway, and I did go live on that interviewing someone, and I finally figured out how I can share my screen, I think, to get somebody on here. So if you are somebody that would like me to interview you online, I have to kind of know who you are first, though, because of all the, safety hazards. Um, I did get some more celebrity imposters, but I actually got off of Telegram and WhatsApp, and that seemed to really solve it. But I may have to eventually get back on those apps for different things since I'm trying to juggle different things, which brings me to the subject today is if you don't like your work, just switch it. Now, don't quit your day job or your night job or any other income that you have going in this economy, or even if it's something that you're currently not making money at. I would say keep it on, keep it going because you just don't know unless you know for sure that you don't want to do it. But of course, I was raised in a way that you have to do what you don't want to do for a job. But that's not necessarily the best way either. But in this economy, it might help because you may have to do a job that you don't like while you're pursuing the job that you want. But it's up to you. That's a personal thing. But what I was trying to talk about before I got distracted by my thoughts. No, I'm just saying, I think a lot of things I probably should try to write more down. I've started a few little screenplays and different things, but I wish I had a writing partner. But then again, I have kind of had some writing partners, and but it's hard to have a writing partner because they have their own idea of things and you have your own idea. And I did try to work with someone once, but sometimes maybe it's better to write your original scripts yourself and then collaborate when you're getting ready to go the next steps. And that's a whole nother thing. Being older, I have tried to learn how to do a lot of different things. And with the internet now, you don't have to max out your charge cards like I have in the past with all kinds of classes. But what my point was, and hopefully it says on here, it should say, because I thought I put it in the thing to say, if you don't like your job, just do it. If you want to switch careers, just do it, like the Nike ad. Just do it. Get it done now. Just do it. Get it done now. Okay, just like in the Nike ad, they say, just do it. Well, that doesn't mean you should quit your other jobs or your other sources of income or even other things you're pursuing that you're not making money at, because it's good to have a backup plan. But there's so many hours in the day to do everything. Now, I was not blessed with beautiful children and grandchildren, and I'm currently not even in a relationship. So, although I try to tell the Brad Pitt imposters that, but, I'd like to meet the real one, of course. I'm in show business too, or the Kevin Costner or the John Cusack ones, or we've been through all that. But they're out there, believe me. They're still, those celeb imposters are still out there, but they're not enforced like they used to be. So, and just block and report them. They don't call you or go on Zoom with you or meet you or at least call you or something. We have to be careful with all that because of AI. We just don't know. But back to the other, if you're sitting in your job, instead of getting mad at your boss or doing something that could get you fired, just in your free time, um, nights and weekends or whatever, be working towards something else. Or maybe you like your field and you just want to switch jobs, but don't ever quit your job until you have a new job. Okay. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Um, and especially when it comes to work and money and business, I have learned so many things the hard way. But now I'm realizing older that you really, and especially in your relationships, your personal relationships, whether friendships or love relationships, do not let your emotions get the best of you. It's better to talk about your feelings and say, I'm feeling this way, but don't put the blame on the other person because they're going to be naturally defensive if they feel like you are criticizing them or something. Relationships are not easy. I've had a variety of relationships and friendships, and I still have a number of friendships. And I am friends with some men of the opposite sex, but I'm currently not in a romantic relationship. However, any relationship is challenging, but and I think Hollywood's made a lot of money with showing a lot of what can happen when a relationship gets too extreme on the emotional side and people don't have control of their emotions and everything. Like War of the Roses. Remember that movie years ago? And then, of course, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And, there's been a number of movies like this, over the years. And that it's interesting. It's interesting when people talk about this kind of stuff and watch it. I'm just going to test to make sure my okay, to make sure that it's being okay. It does show my headphones in. So these are my little headphones. They're not very expensive, and then they go with my microphone that I've got plugged in, and I use this for my little voiceover audition some. So I need to get back and start doing those again. It just, it can get tedious to do auditions, whether it's voiceover or on camera, which I do with my iPhone and iPad, or sales calls and, getting on the phone, making cold calls, talking to people about your products, even if you're trying to text people or email people information or videos about your products or sales is not easy, especially if you're strictly commission like most sales things are. But of course the upside of that is you don't have to sit in a cubicle all day and collect a paycheck for hourly jobs. And I've done that too, even with sales. Like when you're paid hourly, usually it's like a call center thing, which I've done that before with a headset and a this is like a different headset for voiceovers that David Lawrence recommends. But when I had a job, and I still have the headsets for call centers, it's the regular headsets, but you can use that for everything. And I have an older microphone that's not quite as good as this one, but I could use it too. I might be able to use it easier with my iPad and iPhone. Anyway, you have to learn all that. So, but back to the subject, back to square one, back to square one, back to one. Okay, you have to decide, do you want to do something? Well, just because you make a decision you want to do something doesn't mean that you have to follow through with it, but you can learn. And there is so much now online where you can learn without even spending $1. I mean, you can do it for free. Eventually, you may have to take the course. Now, be careful. You may be young and can work all hours of the day and night to pay your bills. But I have gone on various job interviews and being older. And of course, I'm not looking, I should, which I have. When I go on job interviews, I actually do hair and makeup and try to look a lot better and, all the stuff. And I need a haircut and all the stuff, manicure, pedicure, which I haven't had any of that done in in several months because it just everything costs so much money now with gas and you know. I couldn't even afford gas to go to church the other day, but that's okay. But they have a little church pantry there, and you can get some cans, and I guess nowadays cans are safer in a way, although it's full of sodium. You can rinse the sodium off if that's an issue, but maybe safer than the produce right now. But you have to be careful with tap water and produce, and that's a whole other thing. And they say the water is linked to the data centers and the farming, and it's a whole bunch of idiots. I almost said idios instead of videos, like idiots versus idiots or whatever. I mean, I don't know. So anyway, but yeah. So, but yeah, just do it. Don't sit there and go, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I'll never make it. So what if you don't? At least try it and see, or look into it. Just experiment with it. And you can always start a YouTube channel like mine. And, if people watch it, great. If they don't, I mean, I have times when I get lots of views and then my dog is not even, Tony, what's wrong? He doesn't want to be in it. Tony, turn around. He's tired right now. So he's mad because we're out of the pepperoni treats, which I can maybe get some for him on Wednesday. So, we all are like, we're like, what is it? Champagne tastes on a beer budget around here, but we're living pretty much below the beer budget right now. So, anyway, but our sentences are sentences, so we can't say that. Do not say, I can't afford something. Just say, I can't do that right now. That might be better. Instead of saying, tying money into everything, I've got myself doing things like that on job interviews. And, people do not, or sales calls. There's a funny thing about people, and I'm not saying all people are like that because I'm in the process of healing. So as I heal, I am starting to, from my childhood trauma, different things in life I've been through and gotten over stuff, I'm starting to attract more people in my life that are more caring and that type of thing. Okay, so, but I'm not trying to be negative here, but sometimes what else are you going to talk about? But this is a situation where some people, not all people, but some people do have a mean streak. And if you tell them, or they can tell that you desperately need that sale to pay your car insurance or put gas in your car, or you desperately need that job to pay whatever it is, your rent, your cell phone, your internet, whatever it is. If you need, whether it's a part-time job to pay the extra, because usually we try to, at least even if we're retired on a very low income, we at least need to always pay your rent and your cell phone. Okay, and I need to lose about 30 or 40 pounds, but I still have to eat and I have to feed my pets. So they're priority one. And they're small too. I mean, my cat is, and you can cook stuff and have it for them too, see. Inexpensive things that they can have with you in addition to their kibble, because, they get sick of that cheap kibble. In fact, I bought some the other day that nobody's even ever heard of. But when he gets really hungry, he eats it. But for an extra $1 or $2, you can get a better brand that they'll eat, But basically, don't sit there at your job. Back to subject. I need to have flashcards so that I stay on task here, I guess. I'm used to having more like right here I'm having to film this from my sofa instead of the way the layout of my place. But this desk is, anyway, and my desk has got too much paper clutter on it again. And but yeah, just don't sit there and go, I can't do that. Try it and see. Try it on. You might like it. You may not like it. One time in LA, I met a bartender that he had tried the acting, and he would have been really good at it. He was pretty good looking, younger guy. He's probably very successful now. I think he said his girlfriend wasn't acting, but he just didn't like it. He probably runs the bar now, or he runs something else, or who knows what he does. Maybe he works behind the scenes on a crew or whatever. But, he had the looks and the chops. He was very good with communication and everything. Just didn't like it. Some people just don't like certain things that they think they're going to like. Now, see, I like acting, and sometimes people can tell, oh, I really like it. I really want the part. Well, back to the other thing I was talking about, there are people that are kind of mean. And if they know you really want that job or you want that part, like as an actor, or you want a relationship with that person or whatever it is, they will deliberately withhold and be mean to you. And withhold, or they'll even go so far as to hire somebody that you know, or somebody else that you know about or whatever, just to kind of try to upset you. But see, I've been through it all, guys. It started out growing up with my dad. He was always trying to play, in addition to the other things, and he traveled a lot for business and everything. He was always trying to play a mind game on me, gaslight me. And he would always say, I can say something so fast, I'll make your head spin. I mean, he was just kind of had a little bit of a cruel nature. Well, a little bit, a lot. I mean, I would say, some people would say, but people have been full-time healers and such, like Angela and even my counselor, when I, went to counseling about it and everything, therapist would have said he was, someone to avoid at all costs. But basically, I didn't always listen because, I was raised Catholic and I was raised to go along to get along, and not that all Catholics are like that. I mean, you can't stereotype everybody, but the bottom line, just try something and see if you like it. You may not like it, but when you do go into any field, you have to make sure that that the people you're talking to don't have a mean streak, or that they're really interested in hiring you. Don't waste a lot of time with people that just aren't interested in you, whether it's personally or professionally. You can waste so much time. And you know what? Sometimes those kind of people will take up all your time. And you're not even the one trying to take up their time. They just like to play mind games with people. There are people that are, I don't say sadistic, that's pretty extreme, or masochistic, or whatever, misogynists, like men versus women, men that don't like women, or there's women that don't like men, or whatever, or women that don't like other women, or men that are super competitive with other men, and then there's man's man, I mean, if you're on YouTube now, even if you didn't, I had a second minor of psychology. I had social science was my first minor, second minor psychology. Then my major was journalism. But I've always read lots of stuff. In fact, I need to figure out how to sell a lot of these books. If anybody would be interested, I could use the extra cash. If anybody would like to buy some books, I've got a lot of books on here to sell, I've reduced it down a lot. I've tried to sell a lot of at half price books. Of course, you get usually a lot less at half price there. But anyway, just try something. Just life is short. I've had lots of jobs and careers, and I no longer let people judge me for changing. Why wouldn't you? If you don't like what you're doing and you can do something else and you're good at it or you like it, just do it. Quit trying to, you can't please everybody. Like the old-timey expression goes, you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. My mom's grandmother used to say that. You can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all the time. I guess it's an old-timey expression because I think my dad said his grandparents said that too, but my mother said that they didn't, and that he just copied whatever, that was really originally from her family. But I'm sure that was probably just an expression back in those days, And you cannot please everybody. Just like on, YouTube, I think because I've been in the news business and insurance, at one point I was even a legal secretary, and he mainly did business, but divorce attorney, and he even had a wall up on top of his, when you first walk into his office, divorce is better than MURD, whatever. I know somebody said we still have to be careful what we say on here, but I think if it's entertainment, you can say it. I don't know. I've got this one under people blogs. I can always change it or put it under different classifications. I'm still learning how to promote all this stuff here. But in fact, I don't even think I'm being, let me see if anybody's watching right now. Yeah, no, I don't think so. But anyway, I was going to try to figure out how I could share it on. I wanted to go live later on Instagram someday. I've never gone live. I don't think I have. I think I went live on Facebook once for about 2 minutes or something years ago, but I want to try to go live on all the other venues also. See, so, but yeah, the subject matter should say here that's originally was, if you don't like what you're doing, try something else. Now, don't quit, like I said a million times, and everybody tells you this, don't quit your day job. Now, if somebody's being abusive or it's just not working, for example, sometimes you can't even take a job because, like, if they're going to pay $7.25 an hour, which I was offered one job like that on the other side, way on the other side of town, and by the time I paid for gas and everything, I would have come out at a loss, okay? And so, in insurance even, and I've done that on and off since 1991. And then they're going to make me pay for my own background check, $50, all this stuff. I mean, it just depends on what it is. And the people that were running it, I think they were new to the industry too. So, I mean, the thing of it is it's all relative, but you have a choice. You do not have to say yes to everybody. But on the other hand, don't say no to everybody either, It's not easy. Life is just not easy. Let's face it. I wondered if I can. My trouble is if I go live on these LinkedIn or X, the trouble is I really have to figure it all out. So, and like I said, I have different people I want to bring on here to interview. So I need to get my list going now that I figured out how I can do it. Because before it was confusing. How to share the screen and everything. And because if I have somebody else on here, I feel like I need to at least get a haircut or fix hair and makeup. But, some people don't, and I've done that too. You just get on and just go for it, because if somebody saw me in real life, like if I have a date or a job interview or an in-person audition or even sometimes auditions where I'm taping, then I can look a lot better. Then people are naturally surprised, like, oh, wow, you look better than I thought. Whereas if you present your picture or yourself to somebody that looks better than what you look like, they'll be disappointed, and that happens a lot with acting because headshots and resumes are expensive. Unless you learn how to make your own headshots, and I know David Green, which I've done some of his programs, he actually was teaching people that they can make their own headshots. And you can sort of. I've made a few of my own or had some people take my picture, places. And, for free, you can just do it. But, to get a professional one, it gets expensive. Let's face it, acting is just as expensive as pursuing a hobby in golf or a career in golf or trying to be on the pro-am circuit or, trying to go from amateur to pro or pro-am or in golf or anything like that. a lot of things can be expensive and people are limited on their time. But then, of course, we can waste time too doing things, you know. Like when I was younger, we used to all sometimes go to happy hour and do stuff like that. Of course, back then you could get a drink for $2 or $3, or they'd have ladies' nights drink free or free food or whatever. So it wasn't quite as expensive as it is nowadays. I'm just realizing I may not hope I'm talking. Everything is on and talking loud enough. But anyway, so it's going to be kind of addictive. I mean, I guess for if you're an older person or if you're lonely right now and don't have a job or a relationship, you can just get on and talk live and come on here and see if you want to be on my show. But yeah, you can have your own little show, even if, you know, it doesn't, people don't have to watch, but you know, sometimes people aren't always watching the mainstream all the time either. So, and they're, at least if you're working out of your little apartment or something or outside, I mean, there's a lot of people even living in their cars doing YouTube channels and everything. And I like watching different ones. They're, you know, younger people have a lot more adventure now. I have to, you know, be careful being older. I can't just, and my car needs work before I could, and it's not big enough. But I mean, some people have really nice big cars and vans and all kinds of RVs and big, you know, things to trailers and stuff to actually live in their cars. I mean, a lot of people are, you know, people are very resilient. And with this economy, the way everything's going, people, oops, I just think you can still hear me even when this comes out, but it's better to listen so that you can tell if you're being heard or not. There's a lot of different advantages. I don't know. I'm just learning a lot of things. But actually, these are less expensive than the regular headsets. But anyway, which I have that too. For that last call center job, I tried to get, you know, and that's not my first choice. Obviously, I like doing creative things, but I was really wanting to make more money, and I didn't get it because they said they rejected me for a travel agent job, and it was for an insurance agent call center position, salary where you got paid by the hour. But actually, I have noticed on, and I guess I better not name them, it's a prominent job board, crazy things like this job is available for you to work at, you know, whatever grocery store or whatever cashier here or restaurant. They want you to report into this school district office or, you know, just crazy. It's all like gobbledygook together. Now, I don't know whether I had subscribed to some free AI stuff and then I discontinued it, or whether it's got congobulated, or how do you say that? So who knows? But anyway, before I check out here, I wanted to guess not be on air right now in a minute. Well, I'll be on here a little bit longer, especially if people come on here and ask questions about things to talk about. But basically, people will come on these different job boards and just say all kinds of crazy things. Now, back to the other, and I guess I could do another whole, in fact, I may do another little show on, you know, just talking about the imposters, these social media celeb imposters, and they also pretend to be, I have them pretending to be Elon Musk and Julian Assange and, you know, and of course, all kinds of, you know, actors, movie stars like Brad Pitt, Kevin Costner, John Cusack, Keanu Reeves, just a myriad of Johnny Depp. I mean, you know, like, was that Johnny Depp really calling me from Africa? I don't think so. But Matthew McConaughey, just a number of them. The other day, Owen Wilson, but it turned out to be another imposter. And I'm quite certain, because then they want to schedule a meeting. Well, I've paid SAG-AFTRA dues, for like 10 years on and off. And right now I'm behind on my dues, but I haven't worked on a set in a while. And, I've put a lot of time and money into my acting career. I've had agents and you know, so if somebody wants to meet me, and I have worked with and met and auditioned for uh, people where I would have had a scene with a prominent celebrity. So right away, I knew that that was a scam, you know. And there's even some that I had to report to the Writers Guild and Directors Guild because they were posing as different people, saying I got a table read, but I have to pay a fee, and all kind. It just goes on and on, guys. But what I wanted to mention, do you think all of these are Nigerian romance scammers? I don't think so. Some of them just don't seem like the Nigerian call center scammers, the romance scammers that are typically, and those are pretty easy to figure out, like boom, boom, whatever they say. And I know that's a time waster. I kind of quit doing it, and a lot of people just totally right off the bat, block and report them. I guess I don't because I figure there's always that 1/10 of 1% in a million that maybe really is that person, and maybe I really can get an audition, or like as an older single woman, maybe if I've seen them in person and really felt attraction or enamored by them or something, I thought, wow, I'd really like to, get to know them better. Or as a friend, I think they seem like a really nice person to become friends with, or somebody that might let me audition sometime for them. There's always that little beam in my mind, like beam me up, Scotty, like whatever. And you're thinking, what is this? This is crazy thoughts. So, but basically, but there is that chance because some people do meet online that way. And I actually have run across people in the show business and the entertainment business that actually are online and they really are who they say they are and everything. But back to this thing, I don't think all of these imposters are um, Nigerian romance scammers. I think some are other people. Now, I don't know whether they're unemployed actors, writers. The film business is going through a tough time, just like everybody is. I mean, and if you're not, then you are really doing good in life. You're focused, and you're probably not even watching this because you're so busy with work. You don't even have time to watch anything. But I will hopefully have a replay of this later so you can watch it later, see. But the bottom line is, I just wondered who some of these people are because some of them come across more real at first and then they go in for their little scam, and some don't have the scam right away or they try to avoid the scam. So I'm figuring, what are they up to? Are they just trying to distract me and other people? Are they trying to spy on us? Or, a lot of other countries have been of the mind forever in a day that we haven't made, that we are the way to be, that this is, and Hollywood does a lot of this. And I'm not saying, I'm not, please don't, I'm just trying to make a living doing things. In fact, when I first was out in LA, I was thinking about, I was working temp to perm in insurance offices, but I didn't have my California license. I had my Texas license, so I was limited in the different roles I could have in jobs in that business as job roles. I don't mean acting roles. But then later on, I caught the acting bug because I was going to write a screenplay too, or various screenplays, and do that based on my news background. But then I realized how tough that was. And then having been in sales and insurance and different things, and naturally being a social person, back when I have money, when I have enough money just to go out and do things, I will go to parties and talk to people and meet people, and I like talking to people. I'm just limited on my money situation right now, but maybe that's a good thing. I'm older. It's getting to the point where it's not safe to be out all the time, but within reason, you can go out and spend like $0 to $10 or less than $5 even. I mean, the main thing is just gas for your car. But basically, I just wondered who some of these, imposters are. I just think that some of them are more cagey, and they seem a little more clever. Or I'm not saying now. There's some Nigerian romance skimmers that are pretty clever too and cagey, but they usually go in quicker with their little scam, and then they'll start out the same way, and then they'll go for it later, and then to block and report as soon as they ask for something, whatever, and they don't know the difference. See, but the fact that I'm an actress, they don't know that there's a huge difference between being an actress and a movie star. Most actresses or actors have other jobs and businesses, and like I said, and I'm not trying to put anybody down or anything. There's 1.7 million actors, non-union, and then of that, about 160,000 in SAG-AFTRA, and then of that, just a handful, the ones that you see that have made the big time, And we don't know. I mean, even me. I mean, I've been to different parties and things. Sometimes you hear questionable things, but then people joke around a lot, and so I don't really know exactly what's true and what's not true on some of these top elites, or if they've done something nefarious or something, just like in the political spectrum. There's been a lot of hearsay, but you never know. I mean, I've never made the big time, so I wouldn't know. And you know what? At this point, I just need some work, so I'm not going to, whatever. Please, whatever. I don't know. It just kind of gets me, because there are so many different kinds of people that are doing this imposter. Now, most of the time, I just know to block and report them, or not even to follow them. And sometimes it's better not to even follow the news about certain actors or things that have a lot of imposters, and of course that hurts the actor. But if they're a good actor, they're going to still have their projects, and it's not going to be an issue. Very competitive business. But you know what? Everything's getting like that nowadays. Every single job is getting tough. So anyway, well, I think I better go now. And this is kind of a busy time of day for people. But I'm just testing out my live. And please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get up to 500 subscribers so that I can get monetized. At least if I have over 500 subscribers, I think it'll help me pay my car insurance. Oh, I was supposed to do that, but I don't know a lot of my subscribers. Some I do know, some I don't. But not everybody is mean like that. Like I said, sometimes with certain people, yeah, they will withhold a job for you or an audition or anything just to be mean, or like a relationship or friendship. But see, these are people, they have plenty of other choices. A lot of times they just, like in show business, they usually have a lot of people to pick from. For some of those 2 or 3 lines on like a top show like NCIS or, Law and Order for years or whatever, top TV shows, basically they get maybe 1 to 2,000, sometimes up to 5,000 submissions from actors and their agents and managers just audition for 1 or 2 lines on a show. And when I say submissions, those are just the acting headshots, resumes, video clips of their other work. Usually it's like going to be student films and low budget indies. And I've done all that. A lot of actors, of course, some of them do make it like that, but they say, well, they're too good to just do the student films. And I was never felt that way, even though I had taken a myriad of classes and I've been through so much in life to draw from emotionally and everything. But some people, that works for them just to go right for the top. Well, that works better if you're like 24 years old and you're really perfectly gorgeous or handsome and you already look like a movie star or whatever. But for most people, you really should try to get some, smaller roles in the low budget, like do some plays, theater, musicals, maybe do some student films, which, doesn't pay, low budget indie theater, indie films, and etc. Basically do a lot of that. And then you build up your chops, and you can also hopefully get your footage, your reels, to put on your acting. So anyway, the agents and or you can do that yourself through the acting sites. Submit your materials, and then like some of those subscription services, might be $10, $20. One is even up to 30. It's hard to afford all that too all the time, but you do the best you can with it. Sometimes you can afford it, sometimes you can't, whatever. But basically, they submit it, and then casting looks at all of them, and then they have to choose people that they think. Casting will pick and choose a scene that they think will actually maybe that one of the producers or writers might like. So it's a long process, and then they have to send them. Oh, let's see. Oh, I do have one person. What scene were you in as an extra in the movie Moneyball? Oh, that's Jude. Hey, Jude. At least I know my lives are working. This is challenging, these lives. It's learning, but it's kind of fun though. It's like I said, the camera. He wanted to know what scene I was in as an extra in the movie Moneyball. I was just an extra. I was one of the people in the stands. We were, they had us at one point behind the what is it, where they do it was a movie about baseball. So behind the pitcher's mound, not the pitcher's mound. Well, yeah, sort of behind that, but also behind the batting cage. They had us there. So somebody said they did see me in that. I never could find me in that. I found me in Dodgeball, though. You can see me if you ever seen that movie Dodgeball with Will Ferrell. And I can't think the other guy is on. Yeah, it was in The Office. Sorry if I can't remember your name right now, but yeah, they're pretty prominent actors. But yeah, Jude, that was all I did in Moneyball, but it was fun. We were up there, and and one nice thing about that, and I didn't realize it till later either, is it was one of the times that I actually talked to Brad Pitt without knowing who he was. Oh yeah, of course I knew. Excuse me, that would be like a mortal sin of Hollywood. Of course I knew who he was, but I just didn't place him right in the moment because he was right. He was right. He was actually down there helping the crew with some stuff down on the field, and somebody said I could run to the ladies' room. I'd drinking too much water or coffee or soda or something. That was back in the good old days when they fed you on set. They gave you like water, coffee, juice, soda. They gave you meals, and that was a big part of it too. That was the nice part of it too. That was like but no, I wished I'd tried to meet him. I think I could have tried to say hi a minute, and then people were running over there, and then that's so crazy. Okay, so back then, for some reason, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling any like I have to meet him. And I had gone to different classes and things. They said, don't bother the movie stars and all that. But yeah, so, but it was fun. Then we were up in the stands, and then we were in different scenes. And, but it was more like that, up in the stands and then walking around. And I can't remember what field it was. It was in Los Angeles. And, but yeah, the dodgeball was, at least Jude's on here. He's one of my subscribers. Okay, Jude, please like and subscribe, and also share with all your friends and relatives and people you don't even know on all the. I'm trying to build up my channel to get, at least I'm almost at 300 subscribers now, but once you make over 500 subscribers, you're supposed to then get some extra money. You won't make a lot. It's not like people with millions of subscribers or anything, but you'll make a lot to make some extra bills, see? And then that's always fun. And well, I need to anyway. And I got so discouraged with some of my jobs, like that last job interview I had, that, like I said, it was pretty crazy. Oh, well, thank you, Jude. I appreciate that. Jude Barnes says that he always likes my videos. Well, I appreciate that, Jude. Thank you so much. Yeah. hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. You have to start out and just keep going. But I do enjoy this. I mean, um, it is kind of fun. I may go live on Instagram one day. I was trying to post a lot more on Instagram over the weekend, and I did some more Celery Queen Jean videos on YouTube. And but Angela's got us in another little challenge where we're supposed to make some short 30-second videos and post on like Instagram and TikTok, and those social media channels are they tend to basically cater more to shorter videos. Occasionally, I've been on Snapchat and Pinterest, and but yeah, 30-second videos or less, which of course are challenging for me. But I like the YouTube too because you can talk about you can have longer videos and talk about a lot of different subjects. But yeah, so but yeah, Jude, if you have the acting bug, just let me know. I finally figured out how to share, so maybe I can get some acting coaches on here. Uh, Anybody that will talk to me for free. I can't afford to pay anybody just to come on my channel because I'm not even monetized yet, and I actually have to buy a new battery for my smoke detector. I'm in an apartment, but I think we have to buy the battery for it. I'm not sure. But the smoke detector for my smoke alarm, yeah, because it was beeping. In fact, right now, that is outside this window, but you can still kind of hear it. I had I'm not sure if he subscribed yet. He said he got a little angry. He wasn't angry, but he was at least telling me that I appreciate his honesty. He said one of my other videos, he found it interesting, but he had to stop watching it because that beeping every 30 seconds to a minute was driving him nuts. But then I was thinking, well, maybe I could use that as a timer. See, I just heard it just now. Maybe you can't hear it. Jude, if you're still on here, can you occasionally hear that beeper it's like a beeping sound from my smoke detector that I need a new battery for. And actually, like I said, I even have that outside my apartment right now. The door is closed and locked for safety, just letting people know. But I'm right by the maintenance little office thing, so it's safe for those guys who are always busy doing stuff. In fact, I guess I'm okay right now. I'm trying to do more stuff in here myself. But anyway, I don't know if you can hear it. Maybe he had to go back to work or whatever. But yeah, can you hear that little beeping noise? Or maybe you can't now because I did put it outside. It's not as loud as it was. It's when it's in here, it's louder. It sounds kind of like when you leave something in the microwave and you forget to go check it, it makes that same noise. But, and I understand. I mean, like for example, on this, oh, good. I'm glad you don't hear it, Jude. Well, yeah, it's not as loud now because, like I said, it's outside right now, right outside my apartment, outside the window. I can hear it because I'm sitting close to the window right now. See right here, but it's right there. But I had it right inside here, and it was louder. But you get to a point where you don't notice that kind of stuff, and oh, that's a good idea, Jude. Um, I suppose I could do that. So many of the things I was in, it was usually just being an extra or a very small role with just a few lines, but most of it. But I mean, I guess I could talk about that's true because um, that's true. And then make shorter, I guess it would end up, well, that's true. It would be a shorter video. That's an idea and then I could follow Angela wants us, she's just trying to help us, um, you know, and then with some ideas too and promoting ourselves because I took her, I was just like one of her affiliates to sell her products and everything. And, but that's a good idea just to do that. I see. Okay, Jude. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, maybe so. I just, you know, I'm going through something right now that I haven't made any money selling insurance in a long time. And I may have to just let all that go now because now I have those licenses through next summer. I've done that on and off. Of course, I guess I could just do that, and if I do get jobs in it on the side, some. But Jude, since you're here, do you think people are not as interested in that? I suppose that you think when I talk about my days selling insurance, people are not as interested. Does that not sound as interesting to you? People are more interested in showbiz stuff, don't you think? What do you think? You're probably going to say yes. And so I probably need to do an outline and then and go back. I actually have, okay, I have it here somewhere. Well, I have a couple books that were records of casting when I was in, even as an extra background log of I got two different kind. There's one where you record your auditions and it helps you organize, and then another one back when you really could. Nowadays, it's more challenging to get extra work, even if you live in Los Angeles every day. But back when I did it every day, you know, uh, there was so much extra work in LA that you could literally work almost 24/7 as an extra. So we had these background logs. I've got it up here somewhere. So one day I could get that out too and go through it with you. But that would give me an idea to go over each film I was in. Or actually, I may have some old resumes where I actually put my extra work on there because I was an extra in about, I want to say at least 200 projects. You know what? You're right, Jude. I'm not interested in the insurance stuff either. I hope none of the people that I was trying to sell for were, but it's gotten to the point where with the economy, I mean, you can only afford to do so many things anyway. Like, for example, with insurance, you have to buy the E&O. And if you're doing it out of your apartment, which I've done before, your E&O and, your own insurance to have your own agency, then you have to have the rating software. But then even if you work for somebody else, it's usually all on strictly commission. Um, I have the only thing I'm doing with that right now is sometimes I meet with people, just we do like little Zoom meetings and do cold calls together, but I haven't sold anything yet. That would be for benefits. But with that, and I even told the guy, I said I would have to ride in the car with them because that costs too much to drive around and, with gas money. And at least one good thing about acting has changed so much. Um, okay, maybe on the Mendelson you could feel the updates to the celery. Oh, you know what, Jude? This is fake celery. There's no real celery in here. I mean, in fact, I'm so honest. But I mean, I don't even have celery in my refrigerator right now. I'll get some on Wednesday, I suppose. But these are, you can order these through Angela, and she'll send you this Holy Hot Mom oil, which just helps for aches and pains and healing. And she prays into it too and everything. But let me know if you're interested in that. But no, these are the celery ones. These are plastic, and you can use them. And that plant was not a celery plant. That is I had to put the I don't know whether it got too big for the pot, and then so I have to have it outside right now watering it. But I do actually have some in a Coke bottle of growing. That's some other kind of plant. So, but that's not a celery plant. But that's an idea too. Okay. Well, that's true. I could get. I've never been a big green thumbs just because I've always had cats. Now the dogs will leave your plants alone, but cats like to get. My cat, although he's indoor outdoor, and he's usually not interested in. I only had that one plant in here, and now I only have the one plant in the little Coke bottle, and I have the other plant outside. But that was all part of the same plant. But I've never had like a lot of plants. Now my neighbor upstairs has got a bunch of plants, and it's I don't know he really works on it in the heat. And I noticed a lady this way in the next building, she's got a bunch of plants, and it gets very hot here in the summer here in Texas, but they have to water them a lot and everything, and make sure that it's not out in the sun too much and everything. But no, yeah, my cat actually he I don't think it was his fault of the plant. I think it just outgrew because he goes indoor outdoor some a little bit in the early evening when it's not quite so hot, and he likes to eat grass outside, and he tears up other plants outside that are usually weeds or something. So but on the subject of plants, though, Angela makes part of her oil's got all kinds of herbs and special things in it, but it also has comfrey in it, which apparently you can find comfrey growing free. And we have different things like that. It's either a weed or a plant that grows free out in the wild. And although they're bulldozing behind us to build some kind of storage facility, but on the other side they still have the little jungle area. But but I hope they're not building those data centers. But I think they're building just storage units, which somebody wants to stay here, or even like these are so small that eventually people are wanting to maybe to move somewhere else, or that would be a good thing to have storage units not far from here, especially if you're moving or whatever. So, but yeah, no, those are good ideas, Jude. I just noted that's the timing of that is good because I just noticed the other day, and now I've got so many things to go through. I used to be such a clutter nut. I'm better, but I mean, I've got all kinds of books. My big weakness was books and magazines, and um, but those logs, and you can even order those. I can show people those too. They're called background actors logs, and then audition logs, and they're books where you record, and it like if your agent calls you for an audition, you can put in the name of the project, the casting director, because 9 times out of 10 the actor will not book that audition, but it gives you a way to network. And I'll be honest with you, I have not networked with people like I should. Now I do some of it on social media, and I'm all the social media sites. But it's like with sales, it's such a numbers game. You never know how it's going to hit, and there's a lot of things that we can do. As actors, and anybody in a job or anything, you can put yourself down and say, "Oh, I just didn't get it. They didn't like me, or there's I don't know anybody. They're always going to pick the A-listers." I mean, that's true. A lot of times they do pick the well-known actors because though that's usually their sure deal. They know they're going to bank on that. They're going to, bank. They're going to make money. They're going to be profitable. With a newer person, it's a gamble. However, for some of the smaller roles, I don't understand why they don't pick people like me more, because they know we have the chops and we have the training, and actually we don't charge as much. Our agents even, not unless I've had agents that ask too much, which I hope they didn't price me out. I mean, coming out of the gate, they don't need to be doing that. I think they should try to be negotiable on my rate. Some actors negotiate their own parts when they go directly through to casting, or producers, writers, directors, etc. I mean, it's a game. It's a mindset, just like in sales or anything. But no, Jude, I have had mixed feelings about the insurance business ever since I got into it back in 1991. Then I got totally out of it in 2003 after my mom passed from cancer. And then I headed out to LA the first time in 2003 and followed my dreams out there. And I was an extra almost every day on sets, something I always wanted to do. And I helped my mom fight cancer, for 11 years. And so I couldn't really just leave town. In fact, I had even turned down a newspaper job out in West Texas, out in Midland, like over 20 years ago, too. Maybe it was about 25 years ago. When my mom had cancer, I couldn't take that job because my mom would have just been really upset. I mean, one of my brothers couldn't believe that I did that, but I mean, they were out of town. They were on the East Coast and everything. So, but I mean, they would come to visit some, um, but anyway, yeah, it's a, the life is just so short. I mean, people think, oh, well, that's people that in show business even think, oh, well, why don't you just do that? A lot of people in show business don't understand that insurance can be just as tough to make a living at that as show business in a way, especially if you're strictly commission, because it's just based on numbers game and sales and closing deals. 90% of all people that become insurance agents actually quit, something like that. And then it's not quite as high for actors, but it's pretty high up there. But the reason a lot of people hang on to acting, like me, over the years, even if they're not that successful at it overall, depending on how you look at life, still have to have other jobs and everything. The reason a lot of people is because it's a little more fun and interesting, although it's challenging. And then on social media, like a lot of my actor friends on Facebook are always promoting themselves. In fact, my friend Michael McCausland just got a job. One of my friends, Michael McCausland, she just got a job. But she had a small part as a doctor, as a surgeon, in I want to say Young and the Restless. It's not Bold and the Beautiful. I'm pretty sure it was Young and the Restless, and I was able to watch it that day. And she did such a great job. Now she's younger than me, but she's been an acting coach for years, in addition to being an actress. And then she's lived out in LA too. And then she'd come back to Houston because she has a daughter and everything, and with her parents, and to help, to like raise her daughter and everything. But a lot of actors. I've met some of my actor friends that live in Austin lived out in LA too. And of course, I'm in Waco, but a lot of my friends in Dallas have lived out in LA too. But yeah, Jude, do you think, I had quit it before. I quit it. Let's see, I was in it, started out in 1991 with it because for some reason I was having a hard time getting back into the news business. And so I was a prudential agent for quite a while, and then I became an independent agent. But I did mostly P&C, which is property casualty, which is a little more interesting for me. It was, and a little easier because people usually always want quotes on their home and auto. But then some of those companies had life insurance quotas too. And then if you had them with all three, but like with Prudential, it was a captive contract. So when I left them to go independent, I had to leave those commissions on the table, but they kept raising the bar so high they were letting us go anyway. See, and then they would keep our commissions. Whereas when I went independent, it was strictly commission, and then you own your little book of business. But it was a tough go then too, though. It was a lot, but I had more flexibility during that time helping my mom fight cancer because I totally made my own schedule and everything. So anyway, the first time I moved out to LA was 2003. I totally got out of the whole insurance business. In fact, I even let all my licenses go and everything. At first, I tried to do it from out there and working for offices. And then I thought, oh, then I'd have to get my California license. And now it's a little easier to have more than one license, but you still have to pay fees and everything for different states. In fact, one of the call center jobs I had in recent years, they made us, but they set all that up with the different, state licenses and everything. But, I don't know, Jude. It's just life is short. I'm older and I haven't even finished any of my scripts yet. I'll probably keep it on the back burner. I kind of keep it as like a plan B, which that's a lot of people have like a backup plan. But depending on what the fees are or the renewal fees, because sometimes, even if I can't do it on my own again, or make enough money, sometimes I can get like a call center job with it. But it hasn't been, I haven't made money with it in years, actually. It's been a while. Now, it wouldn't be that long. Let's see, I had a call center job 3 or 4 years ago. It would have been maybe 3 to 4 years ago. and it was a call center job, commercial insurance. And then I had a headset, and they sent the computer, and it had to be plugged into the wall. It couldn't be like a laptop like this. It had to be, plugged into the wall. We had to log in and out of all the systems, like logging in and out of NASA. And it's unreal. And they had us fixing all kinds of problems that really, they should have had like a legal department doing all that. I just, they get, when some of those salary jobs were just paid by the hour, of course, they always try to make a deal, because they feel like they're paying you a lot, because so many agents will just work strictly commission. So, yes, I'm working on that, Jude. In fact, my animals are both getting older, but Tony could have his own channel. I just got some, I attend whatever free little webinars I can too, and I just got some information off of Instagram. There's Tony now. He just, he's getting older. He likes to sleep a lot and stuff. But yeah, I guess when he's outside, he likes to do things. Um, Maybe I could dress him up. I probably need to get some little cute little outfits for him and then have his own channel. I'm not sure how many different kinds of channels I can have, but yeah, he's great. He got 5,000 views one time just here on YouTube. He wasn't even doing much of anything. It was just a cute little video of him. Have you seen the pepperoni commercial I made? Now, I didn't even get paid for that, but I made a pepperoni commercial. In fact, I would like to figure out how I could make him in Austin see my cat when he's a little bit persnickety when you have to watch him. He's not. Tony's easier to get along with, but Austin can be really sweet too. He's a good cat. If I could make some pet food commercials with them and I would love to turn them into commercial actors and try to see if I could get some free dog and cat food. I'm on such a tight budget, maybe I could get them to earn some dog and cat food to have their favorite stuff. Oh, let's see, the Rapid Liquid channel. No. Is that here on YouTube? Is that the name of it? I'll have to subscribe to them. It's called, are you sure that's it? Rapid Liquid channel. No. Now, Jude, is this your only channel or what do you do? Let me see. I'll write that down and then okay. Yeah. No, I know. I like to do a lot of different things. I jump around subjects. That's why I'm a natural as an actress. I love it because to me, acting is one of the few things that if you can make it doing that, they still need older people like me to play the mom, the grandma, but you can be a lot of different characters. You can be the nurse, which I've done that in my auditions. I don't know if you've seen some of my acting auditions too are on Vimeo, Instagram, and also on X, which used to be Twitter. I have my Actors Access page up there with the little videos, and you can watch them. But you can be like a nurse, a judge, which I've been in a movie. I've been an attorney in a web series. Since I like to do I've had so many different jobs and careers in real life. One thing I love about being an actress is you can be so many different jobs and careers as an actor, and then you use your skills in your life situation. I could, but actually, Angela suggested that too, because Angela's been a filmmaker in addition to her healing programs and her healing projects. Angela Shelton has a lot of, makes a lot of characters and puppets and things. And at least like the other day, I dressed up more as a Celery Queen Jean. Maybe you saw that recent one I made Saturday. I made a few with the celery workouts. But I do need to, because I have a lot of clothes I'm not wearing since I'm sort of, I hate to use the word semi-retired or like some older, whatever. And for several reasons, I'm not wearing a lot of those clothes. Um, I could wear more like dress up in different characters, as different characters with my pets and do things. I've tried to do some of that with my auditions, but I should probably write my own little scripts up too, you know, to be different characters with my pets. And then, so that's an idea. And then when I can do the split screen, I'm going to try to interview. Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, Will Ferrell is so funny. I got to be in the dodgeball movie. Let's see, with him, and then well, I was just an extra, but and then also Kicking and Screaming, which was a soccer ball movie, and we got to, we were in that, and a lot of us were, but a lot of times I had some. I'm not sure if you can see me in that. I think you can a little bit. Um, but we got to go every day to Universal Studios for like a month to be in the uh, soccer ball film, Kicking and Screaming. And Will Ferrell was in that. He was hysterical. I believe he was the coach in that. I have to go back and flip since then. That was like maybe 20, 18 years ago or something like that. I was in so many things. It was just one thing after another. But what was really nice about that is I lived near Hollywood, and Hollywood, the city of Hollywood, which is actually a city, but it was close to Universal Studios, which was not far from like on the way to Burbank, which where a lot of studios are too, but not quite that far. But Universal was really a hop, skip, and a jump. And when you have call times as early as like 6 a.m. to be somewhere, sometimes even 5 a.m., whatever. And it's kind of like if you had an early flight, out, you would hardly even sleep at first. I hardly would sleep. I'd be so excited. And but it was really close. And then I got to go to the same set every day. That was always nice. Um, I remember too, one of my more exciting moments was when Hugh Grant smiled at me in a movie. As I was just up in the stands. It was like American Idol, but it was a movie about. He was like playing a Simon Cowell character, and American Dreams, I believe, and it's a big long movie. But I didn't know he was going to be there. It was a rush call one day for extras, and so I chased over there, and I wasn't even dressed up. They said, "Don't worry about it." So just go anyway because you're just in the audience. You're not really dressed up anyway. But I saw him and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's Hugh Grant!" And I smiled, big smile. He saw me smiling and he smiled back, and it was so exciting. So, but yeah, I remember one time too. I had to be on set at 6 a.m. in the morning, downtown LA, and it was the place where I got really lost on the way to be in. Oh gosh, I want to say West Wing, but I was actually in West Wing, and I actually got written up in the Dallas Morning News when I was in that. So I might have talked about it before, but you're right. I mean, maybe if I could make short snippets about each experience. I suppose it was all happening so fast and this one thing after another. And of course, a lot of people would put it down, because, you're not, it's not an acting, I mean, an extra, they would put down extras. But in LA, they kind of did that. Whereas I found out in New York, a lot of movie stars even occasionally do extra work to make up extra bank to get their to qualify for their SAG-AFTRA benefits and such, and which most people don't even make enough money as an actor or even as a member of SAG-AFTRA to get benefits. You have to make a certain amount to get. But some people, they were like at a higher level, but maybe they weren't like a Brad Pitt status or anything, but they were like, pretty well-known actors, but they still needed to make extra money so they would do a lot of extra work in New York City, and it's like a lot of theater up there too to do. I wouldn't even mind living up there sometime. Everything is so expensive, but kind of a crazy city to live in right now with everything. But a lot of places are now. But in LA, it was kind of a stigma on doing extra work, but not necessarily. I mean, I even put some extra work on one of my resumes one time, but then I had to take all of them off because they said you could only put down speaking roles. Well, at one point, I was an extra in I would say 250 projects, and these were over a course of an extended period of time from 2003 to onward, and 2003 to 2008, and then they had the writer's strike, and I was hard to make a living. Then I came back to Texas, but I did have a cheaper apartment out there in North Hollywood. But then they had some problems with the gangs, and living out there, there was always something going on out there. That was a big thing. There was always some kind there was always some kind of an issue out there. I mean, and of course, there's some kind of issue going on everywhere now. But I mean, at the apartment complexes out in LA, just always something. Like one place, my everything. And just a long story. I could do all kinds of videos on apartment life, and a lot of places where just all kinds of issues where people would couldn't stay there or needed to move, or if you stayed there, it was always a hassle. I mean, there's always some reason in some apartments. I mean, there's going to be an issue, but it seemed like out in LA they always had more issues. It's always something with apartments. But yeah, no, that's an idea about the dog show skit. I wish in the past, well, hindsight's 2020, but I mean, I wish when Tony was younger, he used to be able to jump so high, he literally jumped up on the bar a couple times because, people would just fall in love with him and everything. So, but yeah, there's a lot of ideas I could do. Maybe I could make some little outfits for him. And he's older now, so he's kind of gray, whitish, he's getting older like me. He and I are. The cat's a little bit younger. The cat's not super young, but the cat is younger. But he gets kind of bored with me and Tony. But the cat is kind of, I think photogenic too. But yeah, Tony is very photogenic. And then, of course, if you see some earlier pictures of him when he was younger, of course, he was the color of a penny. I mean, a copper penny, a brand new, shiny copper penny. I mean, and then as he got older, he got kind of grayish and everything. And I used to have a cute little dog named Emmy, who was a rescue from Malibu. And I got her for free too, actually. And I got Tony for free. Sometimes, they're getting ready to, at some of these shelters or rescue places, and I catch them before something happens to them, And that little dog was the sweetest little dog. And then I had a cat named Oscar. I always said when I moved back and forth, I had Emmy and Oscar. Like, for example, I had my Emmy and my Oscar. I mean, so even if I never made the big time, I always had my Emmy and my Oscar. So, but yeah, you get so attached to these animals. But they usually only live 10 to 15 years or 20 years sometimes. But it's sad that they usually don't live as long as people. But, I've always had pets. No, Will Ferrell, yeah. The dog show skit. I'll have to watch those. Yeah, Will Ferrell is hysterical. Yeah, he just had us in stitches. We had everything we could do. I'd been in enough acting classes to know not to laugh and how not to laugh, and because we weren't. It's part of the. Sometimes we could laugh, and they wanted us to laugh, as extras, like out on the soccer field. We were like the fans out on the field that were sitting out on the field or whatever. But other times, it would be like a serious thing that was really funny, but in a comedic situation, you're not supposed to laugh. You're supposed to, be serious. And that's what's even more funny is, and don't laugh, at the jokes, or especially don't laugh at your own jokes. I mean, my God, I, so I've seen actors do that. I don't even know how they. Never mind. You know what? Whatever. Some people just know somebody. So anyway, and you have to be an actor to maybe know what I'm talking about, or maybe you do. But there's a lot of training that goes in, and but sometimes people are just so funny they can't help it. And then it's the nerves too. So I'm not going to say. And then of course, a lot of times when they're taping things, they don't have to use that, and then for whatever reason, what is that noise? Oh, that's my cord hitting my microphone. See? Okay, so but anyway, yeah, that's a great idea, Jude. Yeah, that dog show skit. The sky's the limit, really. I mean, with the social media now and everything, we can kind of make our own things now. It's just that you have to remember that, I mean, I guess that whole thing was like, oh, but I'm not getting paid for this, but I'm enjoying myself, and it can trigger your mind like we're brainstorming and getting ideas right now, plus exposure, and then if maybe even one casting person saw me and then sent me an audition video clip, I mean a request to do, then I could do an audition and maybe I get a small role, like even if it doesn't pay a lot, but then that gives me more for my reel. It's all a stepping stone thing. And I think about how many times I've spent on selling insurance or peddling insurance when I didn't make any money, but eventually I would. But at least when I did it more full time, even though it was strictly commission, I mainly sold the property casualty, which would be the home and auto, like at Prudential, and those were the easier sales. Although I had to do cold calls from lists and switch people from Allstate to Prudential before years ago. And the commissions are lower than like for life insurance and commercial and other products. But when you're out going on job interviews, just like I was burning up gasoline money going really far the other day when I really should have probably not done that. I should have done my homework first because it was for an automotive place, and just to make extra money, like even if it's just part time. But to go up and down ladders with heavy boxes, well, I can't even do that. Even when I was younger, I couldn't have done that. It would have been too dangerous. And, I'd had different injuries and things in my life, from doing, like dancing and just other various things, And, but that's just not a thing for people to do. But it would be like if you're a cashier at some of those places, they want you to do all of those other things. Now, I don't understand that. I don't understand why, if it's a part-time job, why I couldn't just go in and be the cashier. Well, at some places you can just be the cashier, and I've done that before too. But no, life is short. I'm older. I may have to let the insurance thing go. I think the insurance thing too, it ties in. Even though my dad never sold insurance, he was an electrical engineer and sold electrical parts and was a manufacturer's rep. He would drive around as a peddler. He called him being a peddler and on the road and selling. He didn't really he was more of an engineer type personality. He didn't really enjoy sales, but he stayed in it and blah blah blah. That's a whole other thing. But sometimes I think I did certain things to impress my dad or even my mom or other people. Like when I sold advertising, and then instead of when I was a newspaper reporter editor, I feel like some people admired me more when I sold advertising as opposed to when I was a newspaper reporter editor. When I went into acting, a lot of people did not like it. People that grew up, a lot of people did, because some of my friends from high school thought that was fine. Probably wondered why I didn't go into it sooner than my 40s because I did all that in high school. I was in musicals and dance recitals and all the stuff. And drill team, we had did a lot of dancing drill teams at the BL Brigade in high school, just like the Kilgore Rangerettes and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, but you can't live your life for other people trying to please everybody. Like I was saying earlier, the expression I grew up, my mom used to say, you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. And when you get to a point in life where life is short, um, I did talk to one guy when I was out in the, I did sort of, Jude. I was Bonnie Jean. That was the dance version. They had the singing version, the lead, and then I was the dancing lead version of Bonnie Jean and Brigadoon. See, and then, but a lot of them I was smaller roles, or like I was in the chorus a lot. And then of course I had in dance recitals, I was doing jazz and a lot of leading roles in dance recitals and things. And but yeah, not too much. Um, I didn't have a lot of leading roles, but I had smaller roles and chorus roles and singing and a lot of dancing roles. But yeah, I guess the one where I would have been like a lead was the dancing lead in Brigadoon. And I actually had to teach the guy how to dance. I had to teach the lead guy how to dance. And, I gave him a routine. I had a really great dancing teacher growing up from England, Gwen Owens, and she used to dance in the BBC in London. And then they lived in Dallas, had a small little studio, London School of Dance. And one of my best friends and I used to go there. And then we were on the drill team together in high school too, the dancing drill team. And but we were in a number of shows, and we danced down at the state fair, and kind of like a scene from Oklahoma and everything. And but a lot of dancing, and I kind of got out of. I mean, I do dance. I mean, I dance the radio and stuff, but I should dance more. I'm trying to do more exercising. I guess I could put together the celery workouts like I did the other day. But I noticed on Instagram you can dance more. They have pick out your music for you. But there are songs now you can play on YouTube without getting a copyright strike. Sometimes on YouTube you can't dance to certain songs. They don't like it. Or if you have your radio playing, it'll pick up music that and I don't understand that because that's free publicity for that song. Who knows? It's the whole thing. Everything is so different now. But there's always been things. But yeah, and I really wish I had pursued more of that, Jude. And then in high school and then in college, I was in a modern dance group. And then I caught the bug to be a news reporter. And I worked at small newspapers and everything. And, but I always really wanted to do more with the showbiz thing. And then I think that's why finally in my 40s, I drove out to LA. And a friend of mine had a destination wedding out there one time. And then I kind of recaught that whole performance bug. And then later on, I caught the acting bug, see? And then, like I said, I've started screenplays. I was initially just going to do that, but it's harder to even make a living at screenwriting than it is as an acting. And I personally find screenwriting more challenging, although it's not impossible. I mean, back to this other about insurance. I met one time out in LA, I had met another actor who was also an insurance agent with New York Life. And then I met him at a acting workshop. And so that gave me the idea that I could always get back into that, even if I moved back to Texas, because I had gotten totally out of insurance, see, and then I got totally back into it on and off in between substitute teaching. But I did mainly substitute teaching a lot as a backup in temp office and other jobs, along with the acting, but I did some insurance jobs too, But he was interesting to talk to about that, and and so I went and talked to another agent out there when I lived in LA, and we got to talking about it, and he and I said, I don't meet that many actors that want to sell insurance. He said, it's funny because a lot of acting is different, even though the concept is the same, kind of like going on a sales call versus going on an audition, or even now it's, you can promote yourself online and everything. A lot of it, it's like, I don't know about left brain, right brain, or maybe um, it's a different part of your brain in a way. Like it's kind of like more of your analytical side versus your, and then, but one similarity is that acting is kind of like this kind of sale. It's not a like a concrete, like a product that you can see, like Angela's products, her health products, Holy Hot Mom Oil, or this Oleabo, which I haven't sold any of that yet, but if you're interested, let me know. I should probably have more links. I need to have more links for all of it. I have posted some of these links up, and it says for Holy Hot Mom, and then Celery Queen Jean to it, and then Holy Hot Mom Oil, and then affiliates. I'm on the school community for that and different things. But yeah, this one insurance man said a lot of actors, they start out with insurance, but it's just kind of a different way of thinking. It's something about the brain and how the brain works, and then you get too much in your, I guess it was the left or right side of your brain versus the other, with acting, because acting's kind of a creative thing, um, kind of like improv. But a lot of sales is more like improv too. But I guess I could, I used to kind of try to entertain people actually when I did my insurance sales calls. Sometimes I would try to make a lot of jokes, more like a stand up comedian, and I would close insurance sales that way too, by being more of a stand up comedian person, make it interesting, making something interesting that's not that interesting. I guess there's something going on outside. Hope some kids or something outside. But yeah, that's an idea too, though. Um, I guess it's already 3:15. Hope some kids are going crazy outside. They probably want to play out in the heat, and it's so hot out there. I'm sure I don't. My phone is being charged, and my iPad right now. I should have probably turned on the other to give more light in here. I could have probably turned on that other lamp behind me or on the other side of the computer. But yeah, Jude, that's a great idea. No, I do want Tony to have his own channel, or maybe a pet channel for both of them. Although they each seem to have their own ego, I don't know if they would do good as a team. They might each want to have their own channel. And a lot of cat lovers don't necessarily like dogs, and vice versa. A lot of dog owners don't always like cats. See, so I'm kind of a rugged individualist to have both, but a lot of people do have both nowadays. But those are good ideas, Jude. I appreciate that. So yeah, just keep on keeping on, and I do enjoy a lot of things in life. I mean, it's too bad we can't. We have to not worry so much about the money. We do have to pay our bills though. But like I said, that was another thing. Nowadays, with the price of gas, it's better to find out more about jobs before we go on some of these interviews, especially if it's a long ways. It's up way on the other side of town and on the other, whatever it is, wherever it is, because you can really burn up a lot of gasoline really fast now and burn up your money if you're on a tight budget. Just going on job interviews now, So, Jude, I appreciate your being a subscriber, and I'm glad you were free today to watch my show and give me some great ideas. That's great. No, I know you will really laugh. I mean, as soon as they would cut each take with Will Ferrell, we would start laughing and we couldn't stop. he is hilarious, that guy. I mean, he is so funny. I mean, he is so funny, and he just really gets out there with it. But no, I noticed he's in something new, I think, with Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson has some new golf show. Um, and Angela made a golf movie too a while back. But Owen Wilson is actually from Dallas, and so is his brother Luke. They went to St. Mark's in Dallas, and then they have another brother, and I can't think of his name right now, but he's a producer, writer, whatever. But yeah, on all these crazy imposters, I even had an Owen Wilson one the other day starting in with me. And then he said, "Oh, well, then we won't charge you too much for the meeting." Well, right away if they're going to charge you for something, there's something, nefarious about it. Especially if they won't talk to you on the phone. Because anything like that, if you're an actor and you have agents, a lot of times those things are arranged through your agents, or they meet with you over Zoom or talk on the phone first to even see, because everybody's time is valuable. But no, I mean, I could do a lot still about all those imposters, saying I had a table read with Brad Pitt and Catherine Bigelow, a top director, and they would say, "Oh, one of the Brad Pitt imposters was going to get me a job with, what is it, Coppola's." They said, "Oh, he has a new office down from the Coppola's office and whatever." And I think his other office used to be nearby the SAG-AFTRA building, but I don't know. I think he now has offices in France or something. I'm not even sure. But these imposters were just going crazy with these ideas. And then I, like an idiot, I never had the money for them. And then eventually I never even believed it. So I'd block and report. And then eventually I got off of those apps. They had the Hangouts and the WhatsApp and the Telegram. I've gotten off all those apps. I even have one the other day. They're pressuring me to get on all those different apps again and everything. And but yeah, they're really crazy. It really is. It's ridiculous. And what can you do? But they will make up all kinds of things. Got me to send in some audition clips and everything. And then one where they said, "Well, we want." I thought, I realized later it had to be an imposter, because usually you get a script, like even a side, even 1 or 2 pages to audition. And they said, "Oh, we just need this scene, and you need to be this," and I guess just make something up. Well, they usually don't do that. That should have been right there. But one positive thing from that, I actually put together a little clip, and I wrote a little scene for myself, which I'd never done before. And so I don't know if I can still find that, but so then I sent it to them, and So, but they're pretty crazy, and I don't know. They can try to do all kinds of things. These imposters are really awful. Some of them I think are just trying to take up people's time and everything, but some of them are up to something. And of course, like I said, they think that all actresses. They don't. They haven't done their homework. They think all actresses are movie stars. There's a big difference. It's like tons of actresses like me, but there's just a handful of people that make big bucks at it. So, and I'm in the professional acting group too. I mean, I've worked up to that, but even then, most of us have to have another job or business too. So, anyway, well, dude, no, those are great things. I would like to get Tony and maybe get some little outfits going for him. I have to kind of figure out what I can put together, or just have him. I have to figure out how. Now that pepperoni commercial, did you see that? It's on my YouTube here, and I posted it on Instagram too. But like I said, I didn't get paid for that, but I just put that together myself. But there's a lot of things I could do with Tony, because he's just so cute. But my cat too. So, okay, well, I'm just kind of rambling now, so I guess it's time to go. Okay, everybody, well, over and out. And please like and subscribe to my channel, and share. Please share my channel, because I want to get over 500 subscribers. So please, I just need enough extra money to pay some extra bills right now. And, even my different bill, credit cards or bills or whatever. Maybe if you share my channel, share, then maybe I'll make extra money to, be able to pay you. So, um, but no, some of this stuff with this AI job thing, some of these job programs have run amok because I've done some of these job interviews and then some of these job boards get the jobs mixed up and I think they goof it up for people on some of these jobs. So we got to stay on top of this stuff now, guys. I mean, don't let your career or your life be like in a driverless car, like those cars that are run by robots now where people just put stuff in cars and then that would help me out though when I was moving in different times. But of course, maybe it's pretty expensive. Everything is though. It might not have even been any worse, or maybe I could have been in the car in the passenger seat and just say my prayers and let the robot drive me. I don't know. Then I could have gotten places sooner. I don't know. Anyway, well, guys, okay, over and out, guys. Next time. Bye.